Hi there. I'm sorry it's been a wee while since I've gotten back to you. First of all, I lost 2 weeks in the middle of this because I had to go to California to hang out with my office mates. And I've kind of come across a stumper which has been having me scratch my head, so I thought I'd share it with you and a couple other things. So what the next step was is adding RAM. So I have one of my, that's good, put my finger in front of it so you can't see it. One of my static RAMs here. This is the 256 kilobyte, 256 kilobyte, good grief, static RAM. And then these wires here, the orange and brown, are address. Data lines are not connected right now. But as one of the users pointed out, what I need to do is some address decoding. Because the first setup that we had our flash RAM taking up the entire memory space, I need a way to flip back and forth between the flash RAM and the static RAM. And so what you do is you have address decoding where you break the memory space up into blocks. And up here is a 7400 series NAND. And what I'm using that for is to toggle the chip enable lines between the flash RAM and the static RAM, so that if this one's enabled, then it's going to spit out, it's going to read what's on the address bus and spit out the data. And if this one's enabled, it's going to read whatever's on the address bus and spit out the data. To flip that over, I'm combining memory request with the address 15 line. And so this means that when address 15 is toggled off, that is 32K and below, and when it's asserted, toggled high, which, of course, since this is, no, that's right, the Z80 default active low state's getting me all confuddled. When it's active, then this is above 32K, and then combined with the chip select line, or the chip enable line, will bring the static RAM in. So my memory block would look like from 0 to 32K would be the flash RAM, and from 32K to 64K would be the static RAM. That's very, very simple because no one needs that much ROM, but it would allow me to do it with the minimum fuss. However, when I hooked it all up, the oddest thing happened. Let me sit you there and plug this in. I appreciate that I'm wibbling the camera about here because I forgot to grab my tripod, but the astute amongst you will notice that this is not the A through Z, which it's supposed to be doing. This is running for all sorts of high number ASCII characters, which is not quite right. And boy, was I surprised when this happened, because obviously it's running the program that we have in the flash RAM that increments the byte, and obviously, sorry, let's start again. It programs the UART, and then it'll increment the byte and send the byte out to the UART, increment the byte, send the byte out to the UART, yada da 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 da. So it's got access to the main program that's in the flash RAM, but for some screw reason, it's doing this. And I've discovered that if I unplug this and kill it, let me clear the screen again so it's nice and simple. There we go. If I disconnect the flash RAM selector, let's get it in the right pin here. So what I've done is I've bypassed the address decoding, and I plug her back in. Oh, I've pissed it off. How have I pissed it off? Oh, I still have it hooked up to the RAM here. The 7400. Let me disconnect that. There we go. Let's try it this time. There we are. A through Z. So, what the hell's going on? With the data lines disconnected, there should be no way that this flash, or the static RAM, is handing any data back. If I have this 7400 series connected in any way, I either get gibberish, or I don't get anything at all. Now if I disconnect the static RAM and I just run the chip select line for this flash RAM through the 7400 series, I don't get anything at all either. So it either works screwy, or it doesn't work at all, depending on whether the 7400 series is disconnected, if it's present, or if the static RAM is disconnected. And I've got no freaking clue what's going on. The static RAM shouldn't make a difference because it's not connected. So I don't understand why it fails to run at all when I have the static RAM pulled from the address decoding NAND. I also don't understand how it can be running enough of the program to enable a UART and get stuff thrown to the screen, but it's not getting the right data. So there's something funny going on here, and I can't quite work out what. So I'm going to continue to ruminate on this, but I wanted to at least get something to the list, or to the group, sorry, so you could see that I am actually doing something. And, you know, if you've got any suggestions, boy, I'm glad to hear them. I'm also going to try and start a website vaguely soon, which will include schematics and program dumps of what I'm up to. That way you guys can try it if you want to on your own. Because trying to make sense of this, yeah, not cool. So that was the first thing. The second thing was, let me turn on some more lights over here, that we're now in the midst of summer in Iowa, and it's anywhere from 75 to 85% humidity outside, and I'm starting to get these. And you can see that this spot is much darker, and it is wet. There's water on my floor, which is obviously not good. Not good for my computers, and not good for all of my wife's stamping stuff. The rubber stuff is fine, but all of the paper and the cardstock is getting funky. This is a baby seat that we put in here 2 months ago, and this is all the beautiful mold growing on it. So my humidity problems have returned. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the main fan running, which should cycle air around here. And at the moment I have a baby... Oh, well that's freaking handy. No wonder it hasn't been dehumidifying. A baby dehumidifier, but I am going to go through and finally buy a big one. It's $1,000, but it is 4 times bigger than this in the output, and it should be able to do a space of this size. So that's the next trick. And then I finally got my 18K back. I managed to find some time when we could get access to it and convince my father-in-law and brother-in-law to help me get the thing loaded onto a truck, which of course required the use of a John Deere tractor. John Deere probably never appreciated that their 1965 4020 would be used to move a $10 million piece of computer equipment, but it does the job extremely well. So I finally have the Enterprise 10000 set up. I haven't got the node boards in it yet, but what I'm going to do is, in between trying to work out what the hell that's up to, I'm going to do finally a video on the E10K, which I'm kind of pleased about. I somehow decided that it was on 110 volt, and it most assuredly is not. But this is a 30 amp twist lock, and I already have 220 in here. Now that's a 20 amp twist lock, so it's not actually going to match. The diameter's wrong. But with the right plug either on this or receptacle on that, I should be able to bring up part of it. I don't think I can bring up all of it because it requires, what did I work out, 90 amps or 94 amps or something when running at load, and that won't include the initial draw power, which kind of a problem. I only have 100 amp service to my house, and the idea of taking, 94% of that for this and leaving 6% for the rest of the house kind of pissed my wife off, I'm pretty sure. So I think I can bring up like part of one side and that should work. But anyway, we'll carry on more with that later. Well, like I say, if you have any suggestions as to what the hell's going on, I'm all ears. I'm going to continue debugging. It was only today that I worked out that disconnecting the 7400 series memory decoding chip seems to either completely fix it or completely break it. So I got to work out what's up there. I'll have to build some truth tables. I don't have any, I think they're 7404s. They're AND chips, which is really what I do need. I need an AND and an inverter. And I've got an inverter, but I don't have an AND. So I'm using a NAND, and I am manually inverting the signals to produce what I want, which means that it's kind of crazy configured and a bit screwy. So it might have something to do with that. But anyways, I have wasted plenty of your time on pretty much nothing. I bid you a very fine day. I appreciate you guys checking in on me, and I will catch up with you later. Thank you much. Bye-bye.